Welcome into another episode of Home Field Advantage. I'm Will Highland, joined by Cam Chiesa. Today actually marks a special day in the program. We are just past the 10-year anniversary of our first pod together, and that was called the Sports Guys at Colby-Sawyer College. So we're celebrating a 10-year reunion. Not much of a reunion because Cam and I have done shows periodically throughout the year over the last 4, 5, 6 years. So Cam and I have seen each other and have talked a lot, but our guy Dan Stadden wasn't able to make it. I gave him the Zoom link. He might check in. That would be great if he does. So we'll accommodate that as it goes. But I appreciate you tuning in. And Cam, I appreciate you joining us on this momentous day. 10 years of doing podcasts.
Well, Will, it's always good to be with you, man. 10 years happens really fast. And it's fun to think back, and I'm looking forward to kind of diving in and see what we got.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. I'm looking at my notes here now. Um, yeah, I'll just so that the listeners, I mean, some of you have listened to me since the Sports Guys days. Um, some of you were part of those programs. Um, Others, you started listening to me in 2021 when I launched Sportland, when I launched Home Field Advantage in 2019. So just to give you a quick background, Cam and I went to Colby-Sawyer College. I'm repping the hat right now. And in December of 2015, we started the Sports Guys along with Dan Stadden. And the reason we started it was because at that time, podcasts and sports were really just starting to take off. Technology was really starting to take off, and Colby-Sawyer didn't have a lot of sports coverage. If you look at it now, they have a tremendous sports information department. They have social media following. They do live broadcasts. They do so much more now than they did 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, a lot of it was just there wasn't a lot of technology to do all this stuff. And so we recorded a podcast, once or twice a week for a few months, to try and cover the local sports happening on campus. And then it sort of morphed to talk about all sports primarily, um, professional, collegiate, and Cam and Dan were a part of that. And then, Dan graduated, Cam moved on, and then it sort of we never really picked it back up again. We ran for about 2 seasons, and then I didn't resurrect the podcast again until January of 2019. So we've come a long way. I brought Cam back in for home field advantage starting in about 2021, 2020-ish. And, so Cam and I have done pods, but the original pod, the idea was that we were trying to bring sports content to our campus. Um, and Cam, like, I don't know about you, but like, I know you were an announcer on campus. So was Dan. That was part of the reason why this started. I eventually became one. And, uh, and so that was another one of the genesis of this podcast. But what memories do you have just before we get going, like about being an announcer on campus, dealing with some of the sports contests that we hosted? Like, what are some of your memories of that?
Will, it's so fun to think back to those days, being, a young and eager college sophomore we met. When I arrived
You're breaking up a little bit.
on campus, honestly, I for a work study. I should work now. Sorry about that.
All good, all good. I heard a work study, and that's where we dropped off. It's almost like we're back on the Colby Sawyer Wi-Fi. You good?
Yeah, I think so. I was looking at frozen screen there. Sorry.
Yeah, what you saw was um, never mind. I'm not gonna make that joke. I was gonna say what what you saw was Mac Jones in the pocket, but anyway.
Or me and a chem quiz. All right. Anyway, arriving on campus, eager freshman, wanted a work study job. My buddy Nick, mutual friend of ours, had introduced me to Ed Winters, who worked at Colby-Sawyer. He did a plethora of things there, but part of his deal was recreation, leadership, and game management. So I had to try out for becoming a game announcer. It went really well. I started doing a bunch of games and kind of just hooking up with you through mutual friends. We realized that there was a real need and desire for campus coverage of our sport teams. It was on our small campus. People really wanted to know more about our teams, and it really started off upstairs, where we used to get food. I forgot the name of the
The
place.
lodge.
The
Started
lodge.
upstairs
Yeah,
at the lodge. That was our
yeah.
spot.
Shows how much longer it's been. Yeah, we recorded our first ever session up there, and really kind of just built from there. Just those fun days of just having conversations. Really, it was just guys talking sports, and really just trying to put a positive spin on our teams, and really just talk about the teams that we were cheering for. And really, it was an excuse for us to just get together and have a bite
Hang
to
out.
eat and talk with the guys. So
Yeah. And it was really organic. I mean, nowadays podcasts, I mean, like I have this microphone to make me look important. But back in the day, like podcasts were just really organic. Nowadays there's a lot of money and stuff behind them and a lot of advertising and whatnot. But like back in the day, like that's what podcasts were. It was just mostly just people just talking. And yeah, I remember coming up with the idea and pitching it to you guys because first of all, in case anybody cares, how I met Dan was actually my tour guide at Colby-Sawyer when I was a senior in high school. I went on a tour with my mom and dad in probably the springtime, maybe the fall. I really don't remember. And I do remember Dan was my tour guide, and Dan was from Maine like me, so that was pretty cool to meet another Mainer that went to Colby-Sawyer. And so I knew Dan, and then from that, and I knew Dan was an announcer like you were. And then obviously you mentioned Nick Mealy. I'm a friend of the show, avid listener of the show. When I first met Nick was actually because of your roommate, Anthony Daybach, another friend of the show. And Anthony Daybach was also from Maine and went to a rival high school of mine. And I met him. And then one day I sat with him, and you and Mealy came over to the table, and it was like, oh, these guys are pretty cool. So then I mean, everybody has those experiences if
I
and when they
remember
go
that
to
very
college.
well. Yes, I remember sitting right
Everybody
next
does
to
that. You just meet mutual friends, and that's how you build your network when you're 18 years old and you go to a place that you've never met a single person before. And so yeah, and then obviously you and I, like, because of our worldview, our faith, our background, our appreciation of sports, our personalities, we hit it off. We recruited Dan for the pod, and then it just became a really fun thing. And everything you said about the start of it is true. But one thing I did, Cam, is I went back and I listened to that first episode. I still had the
Oh
audio
boy.
file. I mean, I could play it over Zoom, but I don't know how good the quality is going to be. But what I'll do is I'll just quote some of it. Um, so I'm going to quiz you now. So you were right. We were up in the lodge, December 5th, 2015. It was a Saturday. Christmas music was playing in the background. So that was back when you could. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. Christmas music was playing in the background, and we were upstairs. And do you want to guess the first topic we talked about?
It was probably NFL playoffs, I'm sure.
So that was the second.
Okay, well, I was thinking of this time of year.
Yep, definitely. And
Then maybe we were talking NBA basketball.
no, we were talking basketball. We were talking Colby-Sawyer basketball, and
Um
I want to see if you remember this game on December 2nd, 2015, a 7:30 p.m. Tip-off. Colby-Sawyer hosted Green Mountain, uh,
not
which
defunct college now.
I was going to say, which does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
They were the Eagles, uh, and it was inside the Dan and Kathleen Hogan Sports Center and the Coffin Fieldhouse. 7:30 p.m. I believe that would have been a Wednesday night. 289 attendance. I don't know how they get that number.
Nobody was counting back then. I remember that at the
Yeah,
table.
it was just a full send. Whatever goes, goes. Um, and Colby-Sawyer was defeated by Green Mountain 91-81. But do you remember big storyline coming out of that game. Oh, and speaking of, we've got Dan in the waiting room, so I'm gonna go ahead and admit Dan, and we'll see if Dan wants to be quizzed here too.
That was an early season contest.
Yep.
That was my sophomore year, your freshman year.
Yep.
It might have been 1,000 points for Pete Donato.
Well, that's a good question. Dan, we've got you. We'll quiz Dan. Hey
I
It looked
think,
Dan,
like it
what's
might have
up,
been a
bud?
thousand points. Mike.
gentlemen, how are you?
How we doing?
There he
Well, our
is.
favorite Florida man.
Right. Great to see you guys.
He's
Sorry.
wearing a Rays shirt.
Yeah, I know. You got to be a local fan, but hey, don't worry. Sox are still number one. They're
Okay,
number
that better be true.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
always, always,
so
always.
we were reminiscing, Dan, about our first pod upstairs in the lodge. I'm not sure, not if you remember as
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking. Okay, all right, good, good, good. Okay, so our first pod was upstairs in the lodge on December 5th, 2015. I just asked
Wow.
Cam what he thought our first topic of conversation was, and if you go back and listen to the tape, it was actually you, Dan, that brought it up. It was the men's basketball game between Green Mountain and Colby-Sawyer. And Dan, I want to ask you if you remember what was memorable about that game.
I already took my guess, Dan, so I need some help here. I don't remember.
Oh, gee.
One of you or I was on the game on the call. I feel
You
like I don't
yes,
remember.
Cam did the girls' game before,
Okay,
and Dan did the boys' game. So we're talking about the boys' game.
that sounds right.
Oh man, that rings a bell, but it's not coming to me.
Can I
All
tell
right,
him
so
my
then
guess, Will, to see if it sparks him?
okay. His guess, Cam's guess was 1,000 points for Pete Donato. I don't think it happened that day. I don't think so. I think that
I was
might
on
have
the
been
call for
later.
that game, so I remember it clearly. That's
That might have
why
been later in the season.
I think I was, but that
No,
was a
I'll tell you
special day.
guys. I'll
Okay.
tell you guys. The most
Yeah.
interesting thing about that game that had Dan fired up, like go back and listen to the audio, Dan was fired up. Green Mountain committed two technical fouls, including a team. They had two team technicals and then they had two individual technical fouls. Their coach, Dan, was livid about what their coach was talking about. He was livid about their coach's behavior. He was livid about the behavior of the bench. And it was a wild listen. So I'll share the file with you guys. Like
Oh,
I think
that'd
I
be
think I
great.
dropped it in the chat, but Dan was heated. And Cam, you said, quote, I wrote this down. If you can't manage a bunch of 18 or 19-year-old guys, what are you doing in life?
I haven't changed much, have I? Then, huh?
No, you
I still sound like that in my meetings now.
so
Well, four technical fouls is a lot. To have that administered, it's funny. I'm an official now at the high school level and middle school level, so that's really full circle for me to think about giving out four technicals. That must have been a big deal.
yeah, I remember there was also a scenario, and I brought this up in the pod that you guys remember Nate Frangillo.
Oh yeah.
Franz, yeah,
Yeah,
my
there
fellow
was a
Italian brother. Yes,
yeah,
of
there was a
course.
Yeah.
rogue fan at halftime who had to get escorted off the court by Nate Frangillo.
Really?
I don't
If
think
you,
I remember that.
I don't remember that either, but apparently I listened back. I brought it up, and you guys co-signed on it. I think Dan, you said you had noticed it too. It was a wild game, and it had Dan heated.
There was some good games back. Our team was really good at that time.
Okay,
Yes.
so that year was a really good year. They won the NAC championship the year before when
When,
Yeah.
you were
when
a
I was a
freshman and
freshman.
Dan was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that game, Pete was the number one scorer. The number two scorer was
Hang on. Was it
Diaz?
nope.
Mike Diaz?
Oh, I think he might have been graduated.
He was gone. He was
Uh,
there when I was a freshman. So it wasn't Grand. It wasn't Grandy then. Was it that Cam guy? Cam. I forgot his name.
Cam Meservey was the third leading scorer of that
He was
game.
a good 3-point shooter. He was a big dude. I remember
Yep,
him.
that game he went 2 for 4 from three. So good memory.
I'm trying to
I
remember who else was even there.
I think I know.
All right,
Was
Dan,
it
hit me.
Wall Mahjong? Was he there?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you took it from Dan.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes. That's who I was. I think it
sorry,
was.
Dan.
That's all good.
I was processing out loud. I remember the guys a little bit.
So
We
Wall Mahjong was the third or second scorer, 16 points. He
Yeah.
had 16 points, 3 rebounds, but Pete Donato had a double-double. He had 19 and 14.
the Portlander.
That's right. Another
He was a
Mainer.
good player. He was a good
Great
player.
player. I think he's a
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
He is. I saw him go in a little bit ago, I feel like.
Oh, sick. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor Grandy was the fourth leading scorer. He had 6 points, and he was 2 from 4, 2 of 4 from three, and 2 of 6 from the field. So he had a pretty
He was
good
a
game.
nice little point guard. I remember his game. He was a business major with me. He was a good dude. He was a really good game manager, really facilitated and played
Yeah.
good defense.
I'm
I remember
sorry, I
him. Yeah.
misspoke. He was the fourth leading scorer. The third leading scorer was Milani Hicks, who had 13 points.
Oh,
Milani Hicks.
He was
Yeah.
6 of 8 from the field and 1 for 1 of 3. So it actually went Pete, Wall, and then Milani, and then Cam, and then
yeah.
Taylor Grandy. So yeah, pretty pretty
Yeah.
fun, pretty fun team.
Yeah.
They were a sporty group. They were fun.
And they had a lot of freshmen that year too. Like I mean, from my class, like Nate Cook and Jordan Bell and
Yep.
um, Milani Hicks were all in my
Well,
class.
Jordan ended up being a really key player after I had gone.
I
He
think
was a,
Jordan Bell became a 1,000 point scorer.
I
I'm
believe
pretty sure.
so. You
Nice.
know, the things you remember, right? Well, I mean, and
Great
Dan
dude too.
and,
He's a
and
board. He's on
Dan
the board now.
Dan will attest to it too, and will all of us, actually it's funny now because I do the play by play and I do some play by play, but I do a lot of the game management for my district now, and which is definitely full circle. And when you're on, you always remember as a broadcaster like the special games you're on, right? It's a privilege to be a part of a athlete's accomplishment. I'd mentioned earlier Pete's 1,000 point game. I remember being so nervous. Uh, Ed Winters had wrote down for me how many points he needed to get. And I had to keep
Okay.
track as I was going. So it was just
Oh
funny
man,
to
don't
think
mess up.
about, so I
You bring
never
up Ed
forget.
Winters. I want to hear. I hope Ed's listening. Maybe I'll send it to him directly. I don't
Great.
know if he listens to my pod or not. Um, but maybe if he sees that you guys are on, he'll listen to it. But one of my favorite Ed memories, and I want to hear an Ed memory from you guys too. Um, my favorite Ed Winters memory is I think it was my sophomore year or my junior year. I had to announce hockey over at Proctor Academy, and Ed had me say over this loudspeaker because I think Proctor maybe had complained about it or something, or there was some sort of issue going on. Ed had me say before the game, you need to make an announcement that says consumption of alcohol is strictly prohibited and illegal because we're at a high school campus. Not
Mm.
to mention it's an open container and blah blah blah.
Count the violations, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I made that announcement and I got booed. I got booed so hard. It's like,
Because it was all your fault.
yeah, I got booed. It was the only time I've ever got booed as an announcer. So that's my favorite Ed Winters memory. But he was a great guy. We were saying before you hopped on, Dan, that he got me into announcing later on, but he got Dan in, and then, or sorry, he got Cam in, and then he recruited you. You did everything at Colby-Sawyer. You were my tour guide. You were a cappella group. You were ESS club. You were just so how did Ed recruit you for broadcasting?
Yeah, man, you have an incredible memory, and I'm really impressed by that. It's really funny that you asked that because I randomly went into him because I was looking to just get money with work study jobs, and so I actually went into his office one day and I just openly asked him like, "Hey, do you have any jobs in this within Hogan like that I could work? Because I'm trying to get a work study job." And he said, "No, I don't have anything." We didn't know that was our first meeting. He never knew who I was, and he said, "No, I don't have anything, but maybe we'll something opens up. Maybe you could do something with that or whatever." And then I got an email on my school email my Colby-Sawyer email, and it just said calling all announcers. That was the total title. And I thought to myself, oh, damn, like that would be really cool. Just sounds like a fun job. And it was just like an open audition type of thing. And I was not super good. Hadn't found my announcer voice yet at the time per se, but I auditioned in front of him and I think maybe Ryan as
Sounds
well.
right.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Yeah, okay, it sounds good. It sounds like you did pretty good, but yeah, we'll let you know." And then I just got uh, another point of contact from Eddie, and he said, "Yeah, I think we might want to give you a shot and put you in a game and see how you do." And I did, and I started to find my announcing voice, and the rest was history. We all were just we got more friendly with each other. I liked him, he liked what I was doing, and it just kind of developed further and further. And the rest was history. It just turned out the great way that it did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's a good story. That's a good memory.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, he kind of found me this similar way. Like I was doing it for a class, and then he was there obviously because they had recruited our class to run the event as part of like the class. And so we ran the event and we needed somebody to announce. So I did it. And Nick Mealy was a good way to get in the door here. And and then he heard me do the girls rugby game and he's like, "Do you want to just keep doing it?" And I said, "Sure." And so then I just kept doing it. I did mostly hockey,
right.
baseball. I didn't do basketball because I didn't know the sport well. You guys know the sport way better than I do. Like I couldn't keep track of fouls and know what I was saying. So I never did basketball, but I did like lacrosse, soccer. I did pretty much everything but basketball because they had you guys for basketball, and then they also had Pat Coffey and Michael Bullen ended up doing it as well. So
Got to
they,
shout out Rich too, Rich Demas. I'm
yeah,
saying his
oh
name
yeah, he
wrong.
was
Yeah,
incredible, and he has a media career.
yeah, my
Yeah.
man Rich. I want to shout him out. He's a really good dude as well. I did my tryout with him. So kind of hop in here, Dan. What Danny was saying, I had the same type of tryout. Nick Mealy set it up with me because he worked really close with Ed. Nick and I are really close now, and I remember thinking I did terrible, kind of like with Dan. You don't know at the beginning how good,
Correct.
if it's
Correct.
good or not.
Right.
You're going in humble trying to get a job. And Dan, before you hopped on, I said the same thing. And I remember Ed Winter saying to me like, "Cam, that was good. We want to put you on like tomorrow." So I remember going on. I went and did a boys soccer game. And if anybody remembers Coach Craig Wilkinson at the time,
Oh, that guy was intense.
Craig Wilkinson, I want to shout him out if ever hears this. Craig was really good to me. He was a really intense dude. Okay. He had a reputation of being, tough to please players, his own staff, like, assistant coaches,
Yeah.
managers, everybody was on the chopping block. So my first game was one of his games. And, I went through the game. Again, I'm a football guy, but I knew soccer from friends in high school. And I went through the game and it's a little more simple than basketball in terms of making calls. And,
Definitely.
I had finished the game and coach walks up to me and I'm praying internally. I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Like, here's my ribbon coming. He goes, he said, "Cam, I'm going to call Ed and I want you to do all the games rest of the year." And I was like, wow, what a compliment that is. Like that you kind of like, you take a deep breath and you're like, okay, I can do this. We can be here,
Yeah.
and ever since he made that comment to me, Coach Wilkinson, I grew in confidence. And I know Dan and I split basketball that entire winter. Um, I know Will and I had really shared baseball quite a bit. If I remember correctly.
I did a lot of baseball, and the baseball guys knew me because I was
I
on the
remember
team for a
that. I
month.
remember, and
Yeah,
I had done a little rugby, lacrosse I did a lot of women's lacrosse. Yeah, it all, kind of whatever needed to get covered, and it was just really cool. So kind of the same as Dan, and kind of growing in that community, the few of guys that were doing it. It's a fraternity, really.
yeah,
I think, and Dan, I want to hear you too. I think the best part as a game staff is the athletes appreciating your work, and you try to give them the best effort, because in my eyes, I always said, if the family's going to travel and these guys work really hard to get on the floor or the court or the field, I want to say their name right. I want to give them a little energy. They deserve the recognition because they put a lot of work in besides just that moment. So it's just a lot to it. It's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that anymore. It's great because especially because you can get to know these student athletes not just on the field but off as well. Considering you get to have the ability to have run-ins with them on campus, and so you get to know them as individuals as well. I remember all the interactions I had with um, a lot of the basketball players, the field hockey players, the soccer players, like just even just regularly interacting with them like through the dining hall or whatever. Because we had a mutual, we knew who each other were from our roles and whatnot, so it
Right.
was a mutual respect, and that's something that I really relished. I loved that. I loved to get to know these people on two separate levels, like a semi-professional level and then also a personal level. And I think working within the athletic department it gave an allowance to get to know these people even better, and that's what I loved um, about working under Ed Winters and working within the athletic department. It was super super cool. I got to know these people and became deep. I became good friends with a lot of these people, and so it just made it even more fun, and it made me want to work even more, just to just see how these athletes could really progress in their craft. And so even though it was D3, it was still just it was fun to watch them do better and better and better every day.
It's still a huge accomplishment to play sports at any level, at any collegiate level, even if you're in, the junior
And
college level.
NAIA, all of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
It's a
huge,
privilege.
huge accomplishment for any of them. So I totally agree. You have to do, you want to, like what you guys said, you want to do right by them, and you also build a camaraderie with them. Before we close the loop on the Colby-Sawyer sports side of things, I want to just ask, like, you attended a lot of events throughout our years here. We probably attended, I mean, during our combined time, probably two-thirds of all athletic events. Um, Do you have one that stands out that was your favorite? I mean, we talked about the Green Mountain game. That's probably what I would have said just because it was so memorable with the technical fouls. Um, but I'll come up with another one. Like, do you guys have a memory of an athletic event that jumps out to you guys? Like your
Well,
favorite one?
well, for me, I like kind of building off what we said. I remember distinctly getting the playoff assignment for our tournament home game for men's soccer, and that was the real privilege. I feel, you take every game serious, but when you're selected to work a playoff game in any capacity, it's a privilege. And for us to be hosting a playoff game at the time was really awesome. I unfortunately remember, I believe it was a semifinal game I was on, and we actually lost the game. I think it was UMaine Farmington, if I remember correctly, and they scored like an overtime on like a header. It was a very much an upset against us, and I remember that part would be disappointing. But I remember just the process of like preparing, going through morning prayer and meditation and trying to be prepared best I can. My usual prep routine of going through the roster and saying all the names a few times in the dorm. Just remember thinking like, man, this is a privilege to be doing this. And the result in sports doesn't always go your way, but to be part of it is really what it's about, and having the privilege of getting the assignment. So that's what sticks out to me.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, because like anytime you do a playoff game, it's a huge, huge responsibility for any athletic event because you have a big attendance in front of you when that happens. Dan, do you have one that jumps out at you?
I have a couple actually. One of them was I don't remember which year it was. Maybe it was like my junior year, senior year. I think it was junior, maybe. I was the announcer for the NAC championship men's basketball game when they won on home turf at the field house, and that just being able to be there behind the desk announcing it, that was incredible, particularly because my dad surprised me. He showed up there unannounced,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah,
What a blessing, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it was cool. I was able to have that position and do that, and in front of him to show him what I do or what I did at the time, and then have the Chargers win. That was like incredible, as you're saying, Cam. But also, uh, the other thing is that I was also an announcer for the first NEC championship during my time, which I announced at CSC, and during women's soccer, for women's soccer. And then I also remember going to NEC for their second championship, the women's soccer team, and both of those two soccer games were won by Abby Sansusi on PKs. Both
Oh
games.
yeah,
She
yeah, I
was
remember
awesome
that
too.
now.
She was an incredible player. I remember that very
Yeah,
clearly.
she was
Yeah,
great. She was a
she was
great
awesome.
player.
Yeah,
So I don't know if I can pick one. I think all of them were just so
Well,
great.
yeah, those are good ones. I remember that. I remember those. I wasn't there when they won when the basketball team won. I think I was in high school still. But those soccer the women's soccer team was like dynastic. They were incredible. Same with women's tennis. I mean, I think there were some of them that like some years where they just didn't lose all year. So. Um, Mine is I'm a baseball guy, and I was like I said I was on the team for a little bit, and so I got to know these guys a little bit more, and I think we even had Brendan Thurber on the show, um,
we did.
back then, but in the spring of my freshman year, the baseball team had a walk-off win over Hassan, and I had a lot of guys who I played against in high school who played for Hassan, and a lot of couple teammates from high school that played for Hassan. So to have Colby-Sawyer beat them was pretty cool, and Brandon Thurber hit a walk-off single in the seventh inning to win the game.
Third base line. I remember, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I think I was doing stats for that game. I remember that game.
Yep,
Oh,
he went 1 for 3 that day. I pulled it up just to test my memory. Dan and I were actually sitting together, I think, for that game, taking notes for the pod, if I remember correctly. Um,
yes. Will, I remember you were. I remember. Sorry, Will. I remember you were in the stands with Dan, getting ready for our show. I think I was on that game,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yes,
Dan and
I
I were
remember
there
that.
together.
Yes.
We were like
Okay.
taking notes for the show because we were gonna watch the game, and then I think that must have been a Saturday, and we were gonna like do a
And
show
what?
on a Sunday and talk about the games.
Yes. Oh
Mm,
wow, what a
mm,
throwback, man.
mm.
And Thurber hit a walk-off single down the line. It wasn't a game I was working, but Cam, you were working it. We were sort of working. We were getting ready for the show, and yeah, he smoked that ball down it went just snuck through the infield because it was such a hard hit ball. And then I believe it was I can check this actually because the stats are still on the website. Connor Henry, yeah, he was the one that scored. So yeah, great. Yeah, it was a great memory. A lot of fun. And that's probably my best Colby-Sawyer sports memory was that game because that was a really fun game. And like you guys know, anytime you went down there, down to the Kelsey campus, now I mean now they've got lights and locker rooms down there and everything. But back in the day, like it was cold, it was windy,
Windy,
there was
Yep.
nowhere to
miserable,
go.
icy.
Yeah, that
It was
baseball
the
game in
tundra.
April might as well have been in January. I mean, it
Right.
was
You
Right.
had to wear like 3 layers and then bring blankets on top of that
yeah.
if you have any chance at not shivering.
Yep, we had some. I was also down there one year when Tiger Woods won the Masters. I think this was my senior year, and Ryan Emerson, who was the SID, was incredibly excited when that happened because that happened during a baseball doubleheader. Um, and I just remember him turning around saying, "Tiger Woods won the effing Masters" or something like that. So that was a fun memory too. I had a lot of good memories down there. Um, okay, so I
Hey,
want to move on to our second topic, and our
Will,
second topic. Bull,
Will, I'm sorry to
Go
be
ahead,
to interject here.
go
But
for it.
if you don't mind, I want to share a really neat story with
Go
you.
for it.
I don't know.
That's why it's a reunion show.
Right on. Sweet. Hell yeah. I don't know if I've brought this up with you or not, but regarding Ed Winters, I don't know if I've brought up the story with you, but when Colby-Sawyer's baseball team came down here, considering them, they came down here to Florida on their spring break trip a couple of years ago, and I think it was maybe like 3 years ago, something like that, in their spring break trip. I think it was 3 years ago, maybe four. I don't know anymore. But I it was in the city. It was in the town of Davenport, Florida, which is kind of almost to Orlando, between Tampa and Florida, or Tampa and Orlando, but
Yep.
closer. Um, and so Ed and I had converse. Like I knew that the team was going to be there, and so I reached out to Ed and said, "Hey, I might be there," and all that. And he said, "Cool, let's meet up." And I said, "Great." And I just sat in the bleachers, and then Ed saw me and in the bleachers, and he sat down next to me, and he said, "Hey, come sit down next to me in the booth, and let's spend the game together right behind home plate, right behind the backstop." And so we did, and it was great. He and I just caught up after X amount of years of not really seeing each other. It was a great catch up. And then Colby-Sawyer came back to the same ballpark the next year, and it was just a great thing. And I guess I'm speaking to the character of Ed Winters and how great of a guy he is.
Oh, absolutely. A tremendous guy.
Cool story, Dan. I never knew
That
that.
is
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
That is awesome. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're down in Florida and they go to Florida. I mean, I think now they go to the Carolinas because of the new conference that they're in or something. But um, that's a really cool story. And like Ed did that kind of stuff. Like
all the time.
Ed shared when I wrote my novel, Ed shared my post on Facebook, and he didn't have to do that. And who knows? Somebody who was friends of his could have bought my book and enjoyed it, and Ed didn't have to do that. You know, I hadn't seen him in 6 or 7 years, so
Mm,
um, yeah, it's really cool story. And he did that kind of stuff for everybody. I
yes,
mean,
that's
and
correct.
he's now, I believe, the athletic director at Leeds McRae College in
That is,
North Carolina, and I mean, he deserves that promotion for sure. I'm sure their program down there is, or up there if you're Dan, is so happy to have him be their director. I mean,
they are
yeah,
the
super super cool guy. Um, but like it's funny how like time kind of is a flat circle because the second thing we talked about that day after Colby-Sawyer Sports, and I was telling Cam before he jumped on, Dan, that was one of our goals is we wanted to talk about Colby-Sawyer Sports, but we also wanted to talk about the teams that we liked. And time is a flat circle because the second thing we talked about was Denver and New England competing for the number one seed in the AFC. And lo and behold, here we are, completely different rosters, new coaches, you know, and, and we've got Denver and New England competing for number one in the AFC. I
yes,
mean, that's
yes,
pretty cool. You don't
yes,
often get that. I mean, 10 years ago to the date. Think about what happened in Pat's land in the last 10 years.
yes,
Oh,
This was before the 28-3 comeback. This was before Brady's sixth title over the Rams. This was before he left to go to Tampa, where Dan lives, and win a Super Bowl for the Buccaneers. I mean,
right,
he this is so much has happened. Plus, we had the Mac Jones era, we had the Cam
yep,
Newton era, we had the
yep.
Gerard Mayo era, we
We
had
got
the
special
distinct.
teams coaches coaching quarterback era.
Yeah,
You know,
we had so much change,
let's
and here we are. We've got Drake May and Bo Nix. Bo Nix might have been in college when we were in college, for crying out loud.
yeah,
Um, how long he played college football for, but isn't that just funny, guys? Like, here we are doing our 10-year episode reunion show. And 10 years ago, our second big thing was we were talking about the Pats and the Broncos competing for number one in the AFC. And we were talking about we were frustrated about NFL officiating. We were wondering what a catch was. I'm wondering if we still have we determined what a catch was? Because I saw T. Higgins score a touchdown today, and I was a little bit confused about. I didn't see him have full possession of the ball, but yet they called it a touchdown, and he got his feet in. So I don't think 10 years later we figured out what a catch is. Um, do you guys remember the inadvertent whistle when we played the Bills?
no,
That had us fuming.
I should, but I don't.
It
I
was
did.
like a couple weeks before. It was like November of 2015. They were playing the Bills on a Monday night, and Amendola, according to Cam, caught like a 40-yard pass, and then but there was apparently a whistle before the play that was the and the defense stopped running, and it was the ref accidentally blowing into his whistle,
Oh, jeez.
cost the Patriots 40 yards. And
Oh,
Dan said something. Can we have the replacement refs back? That's what you said on the program, Dan.
oh, okay. Okay.
So you were spitting some takes.
Wow, dude, look at you with all the records.
Hey, it's the internet is forever.
Internet's forever. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, listening to it the other day was really fun. I mean, you complimented me on my memory earlier, but I just listened to the show 5 days ago when we were planning this just to catch up on what we could have talked about. But no, I mean, can you believe that? Oh, the NFL, it's still king. We're talking about how it was the most popular sport in the country by far. It still is. But just think about how much has happened in Patriots land in the last 10 years. And we're we're on the verge, guys.
Mm,
I mean, you think about the Patriots. We have our quarterback as a broadcaster for Fox. Our head coach is in college. I'll leave that there. Our tight end is making videos with Peyton Manning on YouTube.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it
Life
does.
comes at you fast.
It happens fast, man. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys think of Tom Brady as a broadcaster?
Uh,
It's a cash grab. I mean, I
he's
uh,
not good. I love Tom, but he's
Yeah.
not good. He's not good. Greg Olson's much better.
I want to hear what Dan has to say, but I also I'll ask you, Dan, if you agree with this statement. Um, Tom Brady, I think, would be better in the booth, in the studio than he would be in the booth. Because I think in the studio, he could be a little bit of the grab ass kind of guy, for all intents and purposes. And he wouldn't have the pressure of dissecting every play, and he could just sort of, say off the cuff stuff. Whereas I think Greg Olson probably sees the game a little bit better from that perspective in terms of the translation of what's happening on the field to the person in their living room. But I mean, Dan, what do you think? Do you think he would be better just in the studio?
so just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying like he Brady would be like he wouldn't be as good in the moment, like in a broadcast booth, versus in a studio where they could dissect things better and then he could give his analysis. Is that what?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
if they put Tom Brady, like what Dan Orlovsky does, put him in front of a screen and say, "Tom, what did you see here?" I think he would do a lot better with that than standing there where you can't see him and you just hear him try and like have 20 seconds to dissect the play. I
Mm.
I, I don't think that's his strength. I think his strength would be his personality in a studio, being able to break down a play that was planned. Like, "Hey, Tom, here's 10 minutes. Can you tell us what you saw on this from this game?" I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I completely agree with you, honestly. Because I don't because Tom is once he left his playing career, he's not ready to just all of a sudden. I mean, look at Tony Romo, for example. He wasn't. I mean, he's not terrible, but as a broadcaster, but it's not like it's not his strong suit, and so I think you're totally right with your analysis because I mean, if you look at guys like Ortiz, Rodriguez, Jeter, they do well with analysis, even though it's a different sport. They have that time, like you're saying, Will, um, because they have the knowledge. Brady is not off the cuff, and that's because that's not what they're built to do.
Yeah.
They're
I think a quarterback calls audibles at the line of scrimmage. I don't think a quarterback, I mean, Troy Aikman's pretty good at it. I'd say he's
mm,
probably one of the best color guys.
mm,
Chris Collinsworth is pretty good. I
yeah,
know people don't like him. They think he's annoying. I actually like Chris Collinsworth.
I do.
Um, but like I think Brady, when he's in there, He's like, okay, I've got 20 seconds. I saw so much happen in this play, and I've only got 20 seconds to figure out how do I convey this to the viewer in 20 seconds. Because pretty soon, Kevin Burkhardt's going to start the next play, or we're going to cut to commercial, and I got to figure out how to dissect this play in 20 seconds so that, and I have such an elite football mind that I have to break it down in that amount of time. I saw so much happen. So I think that's his area of weakness. I think if you're just asking Tom Brady, like before the game, when they come in with their set talking points, Brady's at his best, But during the game, it's kind of like, mm, yikes.
And that's exactly the difference, is because you, as a quarterback, I mean, granted, I've never been one, so I'm not one to speak, but as a quarterback, you have a pre-planned agenda in your head about, in certain situations, what you would do. But now Brady's in a role where he's got to just be off the cuff. And he's just, now it's like, okay, now I'm in this situation that's new to me. And now I just got to figure something out. And that's different. And so I don't think that's really what would be his best fit.
Cam, what do you think?
Well, I think there's 2 points that we should hit on for Brady. First of all, he could have used a year on the B crew. Putting him right on prime time with KB was tough. It's a brand new deal for him, and to replace somebody that he's not better than simply because he's Tom Brady is already a lot of pressure. And we know Tom can handle pressure, but this is not thrown against cover two. This is a whole different ball game. And then the other part we haven't even discussed is how, because of his partial ownership of the Vegas Raiders, his information he gets is very limited compared to other people. So you combine the fact that he's new to the profession, he's not getting the same resources because of league rules already. It really puts a couple of strikes against him before we even get to the booth. I
Yeah,
think that's underrated in terms of his issues. I think he's got too many pots in the kettle right now, or whatever the expression is. He's got too much going on.
yeah,
I think his YouTube channel is great. If anybody watches, the Brady stuff he does with like traveling and his family and stuff, it's great. It's worth a watch. I think he's just got too much going on. And he doesn't really need this job. I think
yeah.
Fox needs him more than he needs
They
them.
definitely need him more. So Cam, I have a follow up for you, and then I have a question for Dan that's Tampa related. Um, so Cam, my question for you is, you brought up the partial ownership of the Raiders. What do you think about like, okay, so JJ Watt's brother plays for the Steelers. JJ Watt did a Pat Steelers game earlier this year, and I felt it was really hard for him to be objective. What do you see? I mean, I'm not saying TJ Watt told JJ Watt stuff about the game or didn't or whatever, but I just feel like it was hard for JJ Watt to do that game and not actively cheer for his brother. I don't know if you guys watched that game.
Well,
Uh,
I did not because I was at the racetrack, but I did listen to it later back later. My comparison would be people will forget Peyton Manning refused to take a broadcasting job until Eli retired.
that's
Like that's
right.
so you
Yeah,
got to think about that. I personally feel, I have a younger brother. Um, if my younger brother was doing anything, if he was basket weaving, I would be rooting for him. That's my brother.
yeah,
That would, and that's not a bad thing inherently. I feel there
yeah.
just needs to be checks and balances.
CBS
So
should not have put that on.
no,
And
no.
this they shouldn't have asked him to do that. The same way and this leads to my Tampa question for Dan. The Bucks and Pats played about a month ago. I am surprised. At first, I was surprised. I was like, "Wow, Brady should have done that game. That seems like a slam dunk." The Bucks were good at the time. Now they've skidded since. They're not really healthy, but like that was a marquee game. It ended up going to Nance and Romo. I thought it was going to go to Burkhardt and Brady, but then I thought, oh well, maybe Brady said in negotiations, because they all negotiate who gets what game. Yeah, I'm not sure I can do Pats Bucks without and be impartial. Um, but okay, so my Dan question, Dan, Tampa related. We're talking about Brady. What's the attitude about Tom Brady in Tampa Bay? Because like I feel like the Buccaneers are kind of a rudderless franchise, and then he showed up and they immediately became relevant, and they actually have been a playoff team ever since. So like is Brady sort of looked at like Kevin Garnett is up here, where like he came in for a hot second, won us a championship, and then wasn't really a part of the franchise again. Is that kind of how that's looked at down there?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it, to be honest with you. And especially considering that the Super Bowl was at our home turf and they won it here. He only had like a quick stint here and it happened to be as successful as it was. The team, the Bucks loved having him here. And it's just I just think that yeah, I think you're totally right. I think it just seemed like that. It's just like we were just glad that we had such a superstar and we were so glad that he produced exactly as we were hoping he would, and we were just lucky for that to be the case. And so and it was like he just came he produced and then he left. So I think it
A
was
drive-by championship.
was that
It was like a drive-by championship.
yeah, pretty much.
That's
Yeah,
like Kevin Garnett here. Like people love Kevin Garnett. His number got retired. I
yeah.
think what was he here 08, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012. So he was here 5 seasons. A little bit longer than Brady was in Tampa, but couple couple
And
trips to the finals, a championship, but like to me, Kevin Garnett is a Timberwolf.
oh yeah.
By a lot. He's the best Wolf of all time by a million miles.
So it's like great. I'm glad he helped Paul Pierce win a championship and Ray Allen too. Like Ray Allen, a little bit of a better example than Brady actually.
But
Except Ray
but
Allen went on and won a championship with somebody else.
but
Uh,
then you had Gronk who came in too to join Brady
oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for
I
that
mean,
for that.
Gronk. I feel like Gronk could still be playing if he wasn't made out of paper mache. Like I watched Travis Kelce and I watched Mark Andrews, and I don't think they're that much younger than him. Maybe a couple years younger than him. But like, didn't Gronk retire at like 31, 32? I
Well, he
mean,
retired a couple times.
Yeah,
the second time, like once he left the Buccaneers,
I
wasn't he
believe he was
only like
32.
32?
I believe it was
Yeah.
32. Yes.
Yeah. So like I'm thinking, I mean, Travis Kelce's what, 34? I mean, I think Gronk probably could have played a couple more years, but I mean, he had how many surgeries?
Physically, he was done.
Yeah.
it was only about 187.
Yeah. Well, and I mean I mean, this has happened in the 10 years since we did the program. The Brady winning a championship with the Buccaneers, uh, and doing it like I remember texting a lot of our buddies that night, maybe even you guys, and saying like, "Wow, I'm really glad we had gave up Brady to Gronk for Cam Newton to Matt Lacoste." Because that Super Bowl he had 2 touchdowns to Gronk and 2 to Antonio Brown, I believe. So,
Yeah, I think so.
yikes. And my other thing I think is impertinent 10 years from now, or 10 years ago to now. If you think about 10 years ago, like Mahomes wasn't on the scene, Lamar Jackson wasn't on the scene, Joe Burrow wasn't on the scene, Josh Allen wasn't on the scene. Uh, all these guys, like Mahomes lost, his first 2 playoff games were to Brady. I think that's true? 2018 and 2020 season? Yeah. So his first 2 playoff losses were to Brady. I mean, Brady's got 7 rings, Mahomes has 3. If those go the other way, it's 5-5.
Yep.
And
Ooh.
it's a completely different conversation.
Ooh.
So it's right now. I mean, you think about what happened in sports over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, Brady had 4, but people were still saying, yeah, but Montana has 4, and he was 4-0. Is Brady really the GOAT? To now, there was a period where, oh, Tom Brady's undisputably the GOAT. Nobody will ever touch him. And then really the last 2 years is, oh, well, will Mahomes get close? So think about how much that narrative changed over a 10-year period. Isn't that wild to think about?
It's interesting how that could have changed. Yes.
That's what you're going to give me for analysis, Cam?
Well, well, I was deep in thought. I was thinking about. I was going somewhere different. So I was waiting to see what Dan said. I
Okay.
was going. I was springboarding somewhere else, so I didn't want to
Dan, okay,
jump.
so we'll let Cam springboard in a second, but
Yeah.
Dan, like as somebody like you, I'm guessing you lived in Tampa at the time when he won his seventh. Um, were you living down there?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure people might have asked you when they found out you were from New England, like, oh, like, do you want Brady to win with Tampa, or do you not want him to win a Super Bowl with anybody else? Like, what was your answer to that question?
No, I felt like the obvious answer was heck yeah. Like of course, I want to see Brady win because he's Tom Brady and he grew up, well, not grew up, but he built the dynasty through the Patriots, and I thought I was super spoiled for him to come down here to play for the Bucks, and now he's with Gronk and they're playing a Super Bowl with them. And so, like,
Against the Chiefs too, like the team that was up and coming, yeah.
yeah, screw it. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, why wouldn't I want to see my boy win? So, yeah, it seemed obvious. Like, I thought it was great. And so when I saw it happen, it was like a dream come true almost.
What was it like the day that you found out that Brady was going to the Buccaneers?
Um,
So you were obviously sad that he was leaving the Patriots, but then like a couple of days later when it was announced he was going to the Buccaneers and he was gonna be playing in your city, how'd that feel?
yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, and I mean it's basically what you could immediately imagine it to be. It's because it sucks that uh, the players leaving your number one favorite team, but now they're coming to your number two favorite team, and that number two favorite team happens to be your local team. So it's like the next best thing. So it was just the next best case scenario. So I was happy all around.
I understand. I understand. I mean, I was just glad he didn't go anywhere in the AFC. Um, okay, so Cam, you want a springboard? Where do you want to send us?
Well, I have to go to the Celtics a little bit because
Okay,
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite team out of all of them.
and
I'm a
I
big
invoked the
basketball guy.
Celtics.
Um, I just think about 10 years ago, the Celtics were in really rough shape. I was Al Horford's first stint, and just making the first round of the playoffs was fun. I think about 2015 to now, and the drafting of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, the Isaiah Thomas era. I think about the loss to Cleveland, 0 of 22 combined threes for Smart and Rozier in the Eastern Conference Championship, Game 7, which still
Yep,
haunts me to this
2018.
day. Yep, 20. Yep. I think about the 22 finals we lost to Golden State. That was really tough. Um, I think about the bubble where Bam blocked Tatum at the rim, and
Yep.
that could have been a title as well. And then I just thank the Lord so much that in 2024, it finally came to fruition and we won the championship. And really, it's profound in two ways, really, because in 2008, I was 12 years old, and I remember saying, "This is going to be easy. We'll be right back." In 2009, Kendrick Perkins got injured in Game 6. We lost Game 7 on a Ron Artest complete garbage shot that I still haven't watched to this day again because it haunts me since that moment. But ever since the 2009 finals, we haven't really been that close until 2022 and 2024. So to wait that long and to be an adult and to experience that was special, with a special group, and to realize how hard it is to win an NBA championship. And then really the most impactful thing was the Celtics that were no longer with us, that were so important. Bill Russell and Mr. Celtic Tom Heinsohn, John Havlicek, Sam Jones. I don't want to be disrespectful and miss anybody, but a lot
No,
of
Bob
people.
Cousy's still alive.
Bob is still with us, and Sat
Yep.
Sanders is still with
is
us
he?
by the grace of God. So,
Yes.
yeah,
I believe.
Bob is
Believe I'm like
96.
99% sure Bob Cousy's
Yes,
still alive because
Bob is
he's
96 and Satch is 94, I believe. But to have that was the first year that Tom Heinsohn had passed away, and it was the first year I believe that he was no longer with us. So to be able to for the Celtics to give a ring to his son and family was special. And it was Mike Gorman's last year doing the games as well. Any Celtic fan below 45, all we knew was Mike Gorman. So it's special. To honor those Celtics that had been alive for every title at the time before Mr. Heinsohn and Mr. Russell, all those guys had been with us the entire time. So they had since passed on, and to win that title, it was really special. So it's just that sticks with you for sure.
Yeah,
How can you
definitely.
forget that?
Yeah, I mean they were just so dominant that a couple of years ago too. They're
Oh,
16-2 in the playoffs, you know.
beat
A
old friend
wild.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. See, Rob, we talk Pats, we talk Celtics. So the last, this actually rounds out nice. The last topic we talked about that night, of our first show, was the Sox had signed David Price 3 days earlier to a 7-year deal at 31 million per year, and we were blasting the deal. All three of us blasted the deal. Cam was concerned about term. Dan and I were concerned about the money being spent on him. Now,
Look at you go with the records again. Look at
Cam was all about like, what is this contract going to be worth in 7 years? And Dan and I were concerned about, I mean, what about this? Why aren't we building our team from the ground up when we had all those young players back then? Turns out we needed a little bit of both because we did need David Price. David Price was good for us in 16, 17, and 18. Uh, David Price actually had a pretty good Red Sox career. We
Yeah,
don't win in 2018 without David Price.
he should have been MVP of the World Series. I still say it in my soul, but
He was amazing in that World
he
Series.
was incredible. He was incredible coming out of the bullpen. He pitched twice out of the bullpen, got big outs, just
He
big
was
time
huge in the
performer.
ALCS with Houston too.
And coming off an era where he was Mr. Choke Artist for Tampa.
That's why you had said on the pod he hasn't done anything for Tampa. You said, quote, I think I wrote it down. Hold on.
I'm
"A-
still saying it years
Anything you
later.
do for Tampa is just extra." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
So
he,
that
yeah,
which it all comes up Tampa. But
that's right.
true, yeah,
but with that, like, so the Sox have had actually a pretty tumultuous 10 years if you think about it. Like, they built up to that 2018 championship, which was awesome. That was my senior year at Colby-Sawyer. Uh, and then they just completely nosedived for a couple of years. They came up to surface a little bit a few years ago, and then they nosedived again, and they've been mediocre. But now they've got, much like they did 10 years ago, a young core. They have a left-handed pitcher that they believe in, that they've signed long-term, Garrett Crochet. And the Sox seem to be back, question mark. However, unlike 10 years ago, we're now worried about them not spending money instead of worrying about them spending money. So what do you guys think about the Sox going forward? Are we in the same position we were 10 years ago where we're entering a new era, or are we going to continue to be mediocre? Dan, let's go with you.
Okay. I'm
Ooh.
really happy with the acquisition of Sonny. I think that is really helpful. However, I don't like the idea of us being passive because we all know the Red Sox have the money. And now is the time, even though we're just entering winter meetings. It's still very early. We can't be passive. We know that we have gaps. We have gaps and we just need to acknowledge them and we need to start figuring out how to fulfill them. And we can't it's just we can't pretend like we don't have the money. We freaking have the money. That we're like one of the top teams in all of the major leagues that has the money. So let's stop pretending like we don't have it. I don't care right now what we're going to choose to spend the money on. We just need to come to a conclusion. We do have the money. Let's just figure out how to spend it right. Let's just not pretend like we don't have it because we do.
Yeah, nobody cares about the luxury tax.
Right. Let's just
Fans don't care when they're paying a $14 for Angry Orchard.
yeah, we're one of the richest teams in the league.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Thank God for sobriety. It saves so much money. Oh
Oh,
Lord.
well, yeah. I mean, I
We
mean,
we
I
have
don't drink a lot either, but even if I did, I would not buy alcohol at Fenway Park. You're mortgaging your future.
very true.
Um, but like that's funny. Like, I agree with you, Dan. I mean, like now it's really about like they need to spend. Back then we were worried about them spending too much. It's a completely different league now. Uh, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But now that so many teams make the playoffs now, back then only four did. So it's like we now have six guys make or six teams make the playoffs. This is the time for the Red Sox to make hay.
Actually,
They've got
seven.
set. Oh, you're right. It is seven.
Three wild cards. Yeah.
Well, no,
Sorry.
there's only three
Yeah,
divisions.
but the Red Sox they
I'm
have
done. I'm it's like, sorry,
It's
Wolf.
okay. It's all right. It's math on a Sunday night.
the Red Sox have the revenue. They have the what should I call it? Not the backstock, but the
Nest egg.
what's that?
Nest egg.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. Yeah,
No, that's a bad term for it. I know what you're saying. Look, assets.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
well, it's like John Henry has more money than almost any
there
Major League Baseball owner.
there you
Uh,
go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
so, Cam, I mean, what do you think? Are Dan and I like fair? Like, just spend the money, guys. Like, it's
Well,
time.
I'm gonna shout out my buddy Kyle White. He's an avid listener of this show. We have an agreement with him and I. If the Red Sox are trying, then we're watching. Okay, so to me, the effort shown to me can be solved in two ways. Right, we have to go. Two things need to happen this offseason, in my humble opinion. A trade for Joe Ryan needs to be aggressively pursued to shore up that rotation. And where are we on the signing of Pete Alonso? I can't think of a perfect match in terms of a need for the Red Sox at first base. I think we can all say that Casas is not an MLB everyday first baseman on a
Can't
playoff
stay
team.
on the field.
He's even if he's on the field, well, he's not good enough. He's just
Nope.
not. He can be a platoon guy. He can be a reserve. He's not your everyday guy. At this point, Pete Alonso, with platooning first base and DH, gets that power bat that we need in there and that first base production. I like the young pieces in the rotation. I do like our young guys. We found some diamonds in the rough. We've also let a couple of bad deals go with the Bogarts deal. Those guys, the Padres they are begging God for that contract to end, and it's going to get worse for them. Getting rid of Devers has looked really good now. That was highly criticized at the time, but in retrospect, it has been a good move in terms of the ball club's
Absolutely.
morale and attitude.
Absolutely.
There's no denying it. And Dan, I'm glad you agree because it was really ugly in the moment.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the fact that the Giants paid every cent of that deal, it only matters though, as Danny said, if we go spend that money on Joe Ryan and Pete Alonso. Those are just two names that come to mind. You
Yep.
know.
And I would say
So
like
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was
the
just those are
Sox,
two guys we got to get.
the Sox need a bat. They need at least one bat. I would say the perfect offseason for the Red Sox would be you acquire another starting pitcher. Now, I'm with Dan. I like Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray would have been a great pitcher to acquire 10 years ago. He's a little past his prime now,
Yeah.
but still like him. I think he's sort of a Lucas Giolito replacement, but
Hmm.
you need Alex Bregman back for the leadership, and you need another bat. If that is a trade for Ketel Marte, then that probably means you're not getting a starting pitcher via trade. Because if you can only make you only have the guns to make one big trade now, because you already let Yost Nixon Garcia, or Yost Nixon, whatever his name is, leave, and he was like your number three prospect, or number two prospect now. So they
Well,
don't have a lot of like.
I actually meant to bring up a point of conversation with you about that particular guy, so we can bookmark it. But I really want to talk to you about him.
Okay, good to know. I'll memory of that for the end of this rant here. But like, they only have like so many trade assets now because they've already spent the password was his nickname on this Pirates guy, the pitcher Oviedo that they got back. So they're not going to be able to make another huge trade because you really think they can only make one more big trade, I should say, because they've got Duran who's tradable and Abreu who's tradable. You're probably going to deal one of them, and then you have some flexibility with some guys lower in your rotation like Cutter Crawford and Brian Bayo. If you wanted to move them, Bayo has a really team-friendly deal that you could move if you felt like it. Um, so like the Red Sox have some flexibility there, but the perfect off season for me is you get a bat to go with Bregman. You need to bring Bregman back to shore up third base, or else the Devers trade is moot. I mean, it was a waste of time if we don't have a real solid third baseman. And you need to bring in a bat. If that's Alonso, if that's Marte, if that's Bo Bichette, if that's JT Realmuto, I don't really care. It needs to be one of those guys. And so that would be the dream off season for the Red Sox. Now Joe Ryan would be great. Um, we'll see. I mean, that's going to take a big. I mean, it's going to take a lot to get him. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what they're willing to do. If they're willing to part with Marcelo Meyer, they could probably get, or if they're willing to part with Peyton Tolley or Conley Early, they could probably get Joe Ryan. But I'm not convinced about that. Dan, what were you going to ask me about Yost Nixon Garcia?
I was just gonna bring
Yost
him,
Stinson, I should say.
Josh Stinkson.
I thought it was Yost Ninson.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
I won't even try that one, boys.
Yeah, let's just call him Garcia.
Yeah, that sounds good. I just want to let you know I switched out my Rays shirt for my Sea Dogs shirt.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate the main call out.
out of respect. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm surprised that. Well, I'm sad that he left the Sox organization for Pittsburgh because he was very promising.
Yeah, I thought he had the potential to be like a good fourth outfielder, maybe a good DH, like good right-handed bat, had a lot of quickness, decent glove, pretty good arm. I liked his swing. He reminded me, a lot of like a Bogart swing actually, like a good right-handed swing. So that's tough. But hey, in order to win in this league in Major League Baseball, you can't hoard your prospects. You
Yeah,
can't do it.
Got to
And
cash him in for the big
you
dogs.
got to identify the guys you want to keep. And like, dude, Roman Anthony could be a stud. Roman Anthony could be Bryce Harper. Like, I'm serious. So
He's
like,
gonna be the next big deal. I'm telling you right now.
yeah, yeah. So I'm with you guys on the Sox. Um, we won't venture into hockey. The Bruins haven't really changed much over the last 10 years. Still haven't won a cup. I think they're the only team over the last 10 years to not win a championship since our program started. Um, tough for the bees. Hey, it's hard to win in the NHL too, right? I mean, it really is. But the Bruins have, I think they have the three out of the top 50 players in college hockey are in Bruins prospects, maybe four out of the top 50. So I'm not gonna bore you with that, but the future looks pretty good. Plus, they have a good core, albeit a couple of them are hurt right
yep,
now.
yep,
Um, McAvoy and Pasternak being hurt is not a great recipe for a team in a Eastern Conference that anybody could win, but it's okay. I think James Higgins is the real deal, and I think 10 years from now we're going to be talking about him. So, anyway, I've been wrong before. Before we wrap up the show, I did want to give Cam an opportunity to. We used to have a segment called Cam's Corner, so we're going to resurrect that. I'm
Forgot
going to
about
give
that.
I'm gonna give Cam his rant, and he's
yeah,
gonna he's
yeah.
gonna rant, and then I'm gonna close with a fun pop culture game to bring us back to our college days, and then we'll wrap the show. But Cam, how about give me 3 to 4 minutes on your rant of the day?
Well, it's been building for a long time. Um,
Only
shout out Nick Mealy. Let me tell you guys, I miss the BCS era of college football because now we don't know what the evaluation process is for the college football playoff. We have a tournament, we have a postseason tournament that will include Tulane and James Madison, and it will not include Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, or Texas or BYU. Now, listen, the Lord did not make me the strongest, smartest man in the world, but I'm telling you right now, if James Madison played Vanderbilt tomorrow, they'd have to bring extra hospital beds. It would not even be a competition. So I miss the BCS days. Who would be upset right now with Indiana and Georgia in the national title? One game.
Nobody.
Nobody. Right?
The best
Also,
of the Big Ten, the best of the SEC.
okay, now you got me. Let me give you another one. maybe in 10 years, by the grace of God, we're all alive still. Maybe somebody in the NBA will care again to play enough to not bastardize the All-Star game completely. You know, the game that we grew up on watching Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, compete hard. Now it's a 3-on-3 tournament. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. I won't even be a part of it. I can't even watch it anymore. It's such a disgrace. The Pro Bowls fall into the same category.
The Pro Bowl,
Pro
man.
Bowl. Remember the Pro Bowl, guys? When Sean Taylor, again, God rest his soul, lit up that punter, and the punter smacked him in the butt and said, "Great play." I forgot the punter's name, but it was an awesome play.
Do you
Just plays
remember
like,
when the Pro
go
Bowl
ahead.
used to be in Hawaii after the Super Bowl,
Yeah, and it
and
was
people actually
fun.
cared because it was fun because everybody went, and it was kind of like it was a real football game.
Yeah, it was like a fun kumbaya end of the season. Nobody played dirty. You threw the ball around. You competed for MVP, and you cared about your conference winning. Now it's if my Instagram's in order, I don't really care about going.
Then all of a sudden they decided to change it to Orlando, and then they wanted to make an issue out of it.
That was the death of it. I'm a Florida native. I love my Florida, but that belongs in Honolulu. Just leave it alone. We don't need everything in
Yeah,
Florida. Florida's got enough.
You live
they
in
kind
Florida?
of made it a Mickey
I'm from
Mouse,
Florida,
pardon
Dan.
the
I'm a
pun,
Kissimmee. I'm
event.
a Kissimmee native.
I got you. I got you.
But Florida's got enough. We don't need to have the Pro Bowl in
You've got
Florida.
3 NFL teams.
We got plenty. Let's
It's
not
like
be greedy.
7 media markets.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And
You
my
don't
last
need
one,
the Pro
guys, my
Bowl.
last one at Cam's rant, I got to tell you, it's a little of a deep pull. I'm a big NASCAR fan, as you know. Maybe we'll go
Daytona,
back to
baby.
my favorite track. Maybe we'll go back to a full season points format instead of this foolish playoffs in NASCAR. NASCAR is not meant for playoffs. It's meant for full season point standings to decide a true champion, not by lucking into it.
Well,
And finally,
isn't that what the whole sports has become now?
it's lucking into it. It's getting hot in the right moment,
Yes,
and
7 teams in the AFC or in NFC playoffs is
it's too
stupid. You should
much.
have 6 with 2 buys. There
It's
was
just
nothing
too
wrong with
much.
that.
It's too much. It's too much.
7 teams make the sorry, six. Gosh,
I did
six
it to you.
teams got me.
I did
Six
it to you.
teams make the MLB playoffs.
It used to be
The
4.
NHL playoffs is a joke. You could have the best matchup of the whole playoffs happen in the first round because they seed 1 through 4, 1 through 4, 1 through 4, 1 through 4. Why? I don't know. The NBA, the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Every single
Awful.
sport has ruined their playoffs over the last 10 years. 10
Yep.
years
Agreed.
ago,
Yep.
when we started our show, and there was nothing wrong with any of the playoff formats. None of them.
Wait till they expand the college basketball tournament. Wait till they do that. That's
Oh,
coming
yeah,
soon.
and you started your rant talking about the college football tournament. That was also blew up, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
So it's like every single thing in sports has just gotten worse from a fan perspective over the last 10 years. It just
Yeah.
has.
I didn't even
Well,
mention NIL either. I was trying to behave myself.
well, well, I,
Yes.
well, I think you need to take a step back because you are calling out the obvious. So I think you should be ashamed of yourself
I know, right?
for calling out the obvious.
Why?
I'm just being sarcastic.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, thank you. I was like, I shouldn't be ashamed of myself. I think that's a very fair point I made that it would be one thing if it was one, right? Cam Burnett brought up college football. That's gotten worse. I don't follow NASCAR, but apparently that's gotten worse. Golf. Think about golf. How
Live golf.
stupid golf has become
Oh.
over the last 10 years.
Oh.
So it's like every single sport. I mean, like, you know, thankfully, uh, you just need about 75 streaming services in order to watch them all. So if only,
Oh. Oh. I'm praying internally.
thankfully that got better, right? Like, thankfully it's easier to watch sports
They
now than it
fooled
was
us.
in 2015.
Guys, you got to give them credit. They got us good. They told us cable was a scam. Then
It was.
It was. But then it became. I've had Fubo. I've had Hulu. I have YouTube TV currently. And I can't. I have to have Amazon Prime to watch Thursday night. To watch the Red Sox, I got to pay $240 a year, and it looks like it's 1942. I'm gonna quote Will Highland on that one.
Thank you.
Better.
No, I believe my exact phrase was an Etch-a-Sketch underwater.
Underwater, right?
Continue.
Right. and I gotta have what's it called? Paramount Plus to watch Landman, not sports, but still. And I gotta if I want to watch this, I have to have HBO. If I want to watch Winning Time about
So,
Larry and Magic, I can go
so
on and on. Like it just never ends. So
Dan, what's it like? Because like we in Maine, we have one media market. I mean, as you know, Portland and Bangor are media markets, etc. You grew up here, but like, what's it like in Florida when you like there's 70, like I said, 50 different channels? Like, how do you end up with like knowing what's on what? Because when I went down to Florida one time, the Buccaneers were enforcing a blackout, and you couldn't watch any game except the Buccaneers game. Like, even if on even if they were playing at like 4:30, you weren't getting the 1 o'clock game on Fox. It was like just the Buccaneers. Like, is that how annoying is that? Like, because Orlando must have their own stations, Tampa must have their own stations, Jacksonville, etc.
well, it's not very different to be honest with you.
Okay,
That's a
good
great
to
question.
know.
It's more like just more regional stuff as you normally would
Yeah.
have on. So because in this regional area, it's the Tampa Bay area. You might have the Jacksonville Jaguars. You might have the other teams playing elsewhere, but it's more regional to the Tampa Bay area. So it's just more about which team is closest to this area. And if they happen to be playing at the time when it's on, then you'd have the accessibility to watch them. Um,
All
but that's
right.
it's just depends on what's happening at the time.
Well,
And what
that's good. Good to hear that something. Oh, now I'm not gonna bring this up, but Cam and I aren't surprised that the state of Florida has gotten really good over the last 10 years. But I'm just gonna leave that right where it is.
No,
Uh,
no, I'm not gonna disagree with you because Florida's a
ah,
very odd state. So
it's a melting
I
pot, Danny. Right? It's a melting pot of everybody. I
yes,
love I love that part of Florida.
yeah, Florida's cool. I mean, I,
It
I
is.
I actually enjoy like I've been pretty much all over the state with the exception of the Panhandle, like the Destin area. I haven't really been up there, but I've been pretty much like the rest of the state. Um, and people are really nice. You know, the Spanish speaking population is like I like talking to them because like, I mean I have a lot in common with them. Like they like baseball. Most of them are Christian. I mean, I know I'm generalizing here, but like we have a lot in common with and like I don't care. I mean, it's cool. It's a melting pot,
That's my
and
favorite way to describe the state. It's a melting pot of everybody.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I think Florida gets a bad rap, and I'll say that. I'll raise my hand and say that. Like I think Florida gets a bad rap, but I think like the people down there are super nice. A lot of New Englanders move down there, like Dan. I think the people are nice. I think the weather's great. Very multilingual, multicultural. You get to see a lot when you're down there. I mean,
Beautiful. Oh,
yeah,
trust
like
me.
the Spanish speaking population, they're from all over the place. They love baseball, right? Like I don't think that's a generalization. When they have the World Baseball Classic in Miami and
I
you
mean,
see
we get all these. Uh, sorry, I don't. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we got all these spring training places
oh
nearby.
true, yep, definitely. But like the World Baseball Classic has like all when Venezuela played Cuba, it was awesome because all they have huge um or when Venezuela played the USA, it was awesome because they have all those people down there that are from that, heritage or whatnot, and it's really cool. And we don't get that in a lot of parts of the Northeast for sure, not in that volume. So yeah, I think Florida gets a bad rap, and I think Florida has improved over the last 10 years. So yeah, we found something that was positive to say about the improvement of sports. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a quiz. All right,
Oh boy.
who wants to guess the
That was
top five songs on this day in 2015?
Something Bruno Mars.
wait. I'm sorry. I misheard the full question. Can you say that again?
Can you guess any of the top five Billboard songs from 10 years ago today?
Got to be Bruno Mars or something like that, right?
I cannot.
Taylor Swift.
The number one song was uh, Hello by Adele.
Oh
The
wow.
number two song was Sorry by Justin Bieber. The number three song was Love Yourself by Justin Bieber. The number four song was What Do You Mean by Justin Bieber. This dude was raking.
Oh,
And the number five song was Hotline Bling.
oh,
Who could
geez.
forget?
Oh, I wouldn't have got that. So
No. And the top movie was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
never saw it.
And the Patriots on December 6th, 2015, lost a game to the Philadelphia Eagles in which we did a random drop kick, pooch punt, something rather.
I
Do you remember
remember.
that game?
I remember that game.
It was Nate Ebner did a drop kick,
Yes.
gave up field position. Belichick got way too cute. That was the game that we did the pass to Brady as well that he dropped.
No, he had a reception that game
Oh
from
no, he did
Amendola.
catch it. He
He
dropped
caught
one in
that
the
one.
Super Bowl against
He
the Eagles.
dropped the
That's what it
Super
was.
Bowl one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting stuff 10 years ago. All right, guys, we're about to wrap up here. We've been on for an hour and a half. I want to be respectful of everyone's time who's listening too. Any final thoughts on the reunion? It's been fun. We've talked about everything. We've talked about sports, pop culture, Colby-Sawyer, Florida, streaming. I mean, we've covered it all.
I just want to say that I love both of you guys. I love the fact that we were able to make this thing happen. Um, I'm really glad um, that Will, you were able to make this whole thing happen, like this whole creation of this podcast and all that. And I'm glad that I mean, just I'm glad that we are friends and we were able to make this thing happen as a result of that. And same thing with Cam. I'm glad that we were able to be friends as a result and all that. I'm just glad we were to have this reunion. It's been really great. It's been awesome. And
It has been. I'm really glad you were able to join tonight too.
Me too, man. It added to it for sure.
It would not have been a formal, proper reunion without you, Dan.
thank you. And by the way, hey,
That's
Sea
right.
Dogs
That's right,
forever.
Sea
man.
Dogs, Sea Dogs, dude. I changed my shirt for you, Will.
Yes. Yes. Have to. I mean, gosh, can't be wearing Ray stuff.
You're
Cam, what about you? Any final thoughts before I wrap up
You
here?
know, I just want to close and say, what a blessing it is to be with you guys. First of all, it's a blessing that we're all alive and healthy 10 years later. I think that, every day you leave your home and come home is a real gift from Christ. And I'm really grateful for that. Dan, I'm happy you're living a great life in Florida. Will, you became a father and a husband. I think that's the greatest thing you can
Yes.
do. I'm really
10-4.
proud of you, man.
Amen.
On a personal for me, I was over this time, I was able to quit drinking alcohol and find my own way here. And it's, and find like my own life way and enjoying a few championships on the way. Over the next 10 years, I hope to see more titles, great health, more children, Will, and, with you in summer and, marriage on the horizon for me, maybe. And just a lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah.
You
You got to
know,
count your blessings.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah.
That's really what I have to say. And I tip my hat to you guys for all you guys have done for me and for this show and all the good stuff, man. So
All right.
thank
Well, in
you.
5 years, we'll do the 15-year reunion.
Oh, baby.
And what I want to say before we close is I want one more answer from you without thinking too much about it. Next Boston team to win a title is blank.
Good question.
Boston Celtics.
Celtics. Okay, Dan.
I could probably agree with that.
All right. I go Patriots. And
Ooh, damn, you might be right.
so we'll see in 5 years. We'll see in 5 years. I would say Patriots, then Red Sox, then Celtics, then Bruins, unfortunately. Even though I'm high on the Bruins going forward. So we'll see when we do our 15-year reunion if any of that happened in 5 years. But I agree with everything you guys said. I'm I'm really happy over the last 10 years we got to see a lot together in the sports world. We got to share a lot of it early on together. Those years at Colby-Sawyer, we got to Cam and I continue the show. Dan, you are welcome on anytime. Cam comes on probably 3 or 4 times a year. You're also welcome to come on whenever you'd like. Um, I'm really proud of all of us and what we've accomplished. And hey, the best is yet to come because if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you think you've lived life, like Cam said, we got to be thankful and blessed that we wake up each day. But like, I think the best is yet to come for all three of us. So I think, yeah, we can complain about Hulu and whatever, but but I think the best is yet to come. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week with normal programming. But that was our sports guys 10-year reunion with the guys from Colby-Sawyer College. Have a great rest of your week.